Tornado warnings delayed because of Doge cuts. Of all the disasters I've studied, tornadoes scare me the most. They come with little warning and can erase entire communities in minutes, even seconds. There's no 4-day lead up to prepare like we often have with major hurricanes, and the winds of these storms can far exceed the most violent tropical cyclones. In those few moments before one hits, especially if you're sleeping, you're at the mercy of your local weather station. If someone is watching, they can issue a warning in those critical minutes before it's too late. Those few minutes after an emergency alert is issued are the difference between life and death. That's why experts were shocked and outraged by budget cuts made to the National Weather Service earlier this year. Some offices were forced to no longer operate 24 hours a day back in April. Wait, the National Weather Service, some of their offices can't operate 24/7? Bro, I don't know if you know this, but the weather happens 24/7, right? If you're asleep, it could be raining or it could not be raining. Or if you're awake, it could be raining or it could not be raining. The idea that we would defund the National Weather Service to the point that it can't operate 24 hours a day is maddening. In the Jackson, Kentucky NWS office, one of the positions they were forced to cut was the full-time overnight forecaster. The office's website even lists the meteorologist in charge position as vacant. Overnight forecasters are responsible for monitoring severe weather outbreaks and issuing warnings while one of the most tornado-prone areas in the country is sound asleep. It's only a matter of time before these cuts lead to tragedy, I said back in February. Just before midnight last night, tragedy struck. At least 27 people are dead, with more still missing across Missouri and Kentucky. Tornado warnings were delayed because of reduced staff. Those critical moments, a midnight warning to your phone waking you up, giving you precious seconds to find shelter, came too late for some. The risk of these cuts creating this exact problem was known before last night. Just one day before the disaster on May 15th, the New York Times ran an investigative piece about how Doge cuts were undermining weather forecasting improvements. The piece specifically included the Jackson, Kentucky NWS office as one targeted by Doge for layoffs. Here's a quote from that article, I suppose. Those who stuck around have often been drawn to its public service mission. The weather service's forecasters study all that data they have collected and tell people when a tornado is racing near, how bad the hurricane season could be, where a wildfire might explode, and how the wind can fuel it. Mr. Fay said one of the offices that is unable to staff an overnight forecaster is in Jackson, Kentucky, in an area that has endured years of destructive flooding. In the first half of February, the office's forecasters issued 22 flash flood warnings for many of the 33 counties it oversees, as heavy rain swallowed parts of the region. At least 11 people died. Severe weather is expected to continue today and tomorrow, and NOAA's new PR team, now run by Trump loyalists, is scrambling to deny and defuse the situation. We can't ask those who died if they received the warning, so we might never know how many lives would have been saved by having minimal staffing standards in NWS offices. As the MAGA rampage against, yeah, it's so insane. Oh my God, the idea of minimal staffing standards is like a is like is like a North Star. We are I'm trying to think of an analogy. We're stuck in a cave, and the single strand of light coming out from the end of the cave is the idea of minimal staffing standards in the context of these cuts. The idea that would make so much more sense and would make a lot of these cuts so much more defendable. The fact that they don't have any common sense standards in place to like filter these cuts through, such as having minimal staffing standards for the NWS offices or whatever, it shows to me that there's zero planning, zero forethought, zero actual like consideration or 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 logic put behind any of this. It's just purely cut money. Government do stuff bad, therefore money of government doing stuff good, and we just want to cut money of the government doing stuff regardless. And one of the ways to do that is by reducing the staffing at the NWS offices. I would only imagine we're going to see more of this kind of thing. And what's really, really unfortunate about all of this is that unless you're reading this article like I am right now, you're probably not making this connection. If you're one of the 27 people who died, you're dead. So I guess it doesn't matter. But like, let's say you're one of the family members of one of these people who died, or you're somebody who didn't die but got injured, or you're somebody whose house got destroyed. You didn't get injured, but your house was destroyed or partially destroyed or whatever. You would never be able to make this connection unless you read this article, right? Most people don't understand that the National Weather Service provides most of the data and stuff that these local news weather channels provide, and that the NWS furthermore provides a lot of these big warnings for things like tornadoes and hurricanes and stuff. Most people don't know this, and I think that's fair. I wouldn't expect most people to know all of the intricacies about how our weather service system collects data and distributes it. I don't expect everybody to know that, but this is one of those really hidden issues where it's like it's hidden. It's hidden from it's on the surface level. You can't see it. You have to dig deeper, and it's sad that so many people aren't going to make this connection. And I would worry. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, and I think there's going to be a lot more examples of things very similar to this occurring that are complex, and require a deeper understanding of civics and the mechanisms by which our society functions, an understanding of which most people don't have. And so you're going to have a lot more of these things happening where like bad shit happens like this. Potentially 10 people or so died that could have been saved if they were able to issue a warning or not, but the public would never know that, or most of the public would never know that unless you read this sort of article and put these connections together in your head.